If you want to visit the United States Embassy in Accra, Ghana, you go to a fortress. It has high walls, barbed wire, and hundreds of armed guards. But for 10 years, if you asked the locals where the embassy was, they wouldn't take you there. They would take you to a 2-story, dilapidated pink house with a corrugated tin roof and paint peeling off the walls. And just a flag flying out front and a picture of Barack Obama taped to the wall. And the craziest part? This pink house operated as a fully functioning US embassy for a full decade. So who was running this place? It wasn't American diplomats. The consuls sitting behind the desks were actually members of the Turkish Mafia. They spoke English and Dutch to sound, wore cheap suits, and pretended to be government officials. They ran this operation like a business. They knew they couldn't take walk-ins. That would attract too much attention. Instead, they went rural. They put up billboards in remote villages across Ghana, Togo, and the Ivory Coast. They would bus people in from the countryside, put them up in a nearby hotel, and shuttle them to the pink house for their official interview. The cost for this service? $6,000. For many of these villagers, that was their life savings. But in exchange, the Turkish mobsters promised them the American dream. And here is where the story gets terrifying. They weren't just handing out photocopied fakes. Because the gang had bribed corrupt local officials, they had access to legitimate blank documents. Some people walked out of that pink shack with useless paper, but others walked out with real fraudulently obtained visas. They had cracked the system. They even had a plan B. If they couldn't get you a visa, they would just make you a new identity. Authorities later discovered that the operation wasn't just in the pink house. Down the street, there was a small dress shop selling women's clothes. But in the back room, there were no dresses. There were industrial sewing machines. These weren't used for fabric. They were used to rebind passports. They would take a stolen passport, rip it apart, and sew in a new page with the client's photo. It was an industrial-scale forgery factory, hiding in plain sight, protected by paid-off police officers who looked the other way while thousands of documents flowed out the door. So how did it finally end? It wasn't the local police who caught them. It was the US State Department. In 2016, they launched Operation Spartan Vanguard. When SWAT teams finally raided the pink house, they found 150 passports from 10 different countries, legitimate US visas, and counterfeit IDs for the entire Schengen zone. But they found something else too. The Turkish mobsters were ambitious. They weren't just pretending to be Americans. The investigators found evidence that the same gang on the same street was also running a fake Dutch embassy. We often think of white-collar crime as guys in suits typing on computers in high-rise buildings. But sometimes, the biggest scams are the ones that are so bold, so stupid, and so obvious that nobody bothers to check if they are real. Because for 10 years, thousands of people looked at a dirty pink house with a tin roof and believed it was the United States of America.